of revising the agenda slightly. To move discussion of the one-stop implementation plan to follow public comment.
Okay. So the question, or I guess it's in the form of a motion to move the agenda item number 7 on your agenda. If you not have an agenda, there's agendas as you come in next to the public comment sign-in sheet. And at this time, I'll ask Donna to pick up, please, the public comment sheet.
Donna, we're still passing it around.
Oh, have you done it?
No, I was trying to find it.
And if you're not signed in on the public comment sheet, please see Donna and we'll make sure your name is on there to be included. So the motion is to move the public comment period above the discussion of the one-stop implementation plan for discussion.
Or if we could deal with the precinct judges in advance. that
Okay.
would move them. So if we just move discussion one stop to follow public comment, then we'll get the approval of precinct judges
Okay.
taken care
Prior to that.
of. Yeah.
Okay. I'll second the motion. So that, just to restate the motion, it's moving agenda item 7 to between 9 and 10. So I'll, any further discussion on that?
That's fine.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll move on to item 3, approval of minutes from July 11th meeting.
Move to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 4, new registrations and statistics. We had 243 voters register since we last met.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve the 243 voters pending further review. I'll second that. Any further? Okay. All in favor? Aye. So that brings the total voters for Watauga County up to 35, 611. And we'll move on to,
Active status.
I'm sorry, not the active.
Yeah.
Correct, that's the active status. The total active and inactive voters are 44,000 currently in Watauga County. Any other items that the board would like to talk about? Okay. Matt, will you please provide us the director's update? Director Schneider?
Sure. We'd like to welcome 2 new additions to the elections family. Emma Carrick Goldsmith and William Thomas Aceto. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Julie completed her notary recertification recently, and Don is waiting to hear about her election certification exam that she took. The SB conference materials will hopefully be out some point later this week. The voters that we discussed that live on the other side of the county lines before that we're going to transfer, the state is creating a document to be mailed out to those folks, so I've not transferred them yet, just waiting on that document. And you'll notice maybe in some of your folks here without a precinct, it's a couple more now because there's a couple of those folks are in there. I've done some research or been talking to some ballot vendors, and I'd like to present y'all with some information for your review that we could pick up maybe at the next meeting. But the quotes come in at about 50% less than what we're currently paying. They are a certified printer from the state board. So that's something I would like the board to consider probably at our next meeting. Just trying to make sure we've got all our items crossed and issued and everything's okay to progress with that. But it looks like it could be a good savings. I've heard good things about these guys. I talked to another director that uses them and is very pleased with them and their support.
And I saw that we're now allowed, there are different guidelines for the number of ballots that we have to have printed, which will help as well.
Which, thank you, is a perfect segue to item 6, my ballot reduction request, probably coming up at the next meeting. We'll need to submit to the state a request to reduce the number of ballots we're required to purchase. Conceptually, Boone is probably the most affected. The other municipalities will probably want to order close to exactly what they have. But Boone has 16,724 registered voters within the city limits. In 2013, there were basically 2,000 voters who voted. In 2015, about 1,200 voters have voted. So it is a lot of ballots going to waste. So I would ask the board to consider that and maybe make that an actionable item.
So, just in case audience members don't, we were operating under a rule which has now expired, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's
that
correct.
We had to purchase 100% of the registered voters. We had to purchase ballots, and they're not inexpensive. And so we're now being given, 50%, well, new guidelines that are take into account that, you know, we're not going to need 100 ballots for 100 registered voters.
Correct. Yeah, you would be allowed to reduce that to 50%. And then they have guidelines for secondary primaries and things like that, which won't apply to us.
Right.
But I think that would be a good.
50% for the municipals,
Correct.
and we'll be issued other rules for
General.
the next general election. Yeah.
So it is something I'd like for y'all to consider maybe at your next meeting. And the renovations at Legends have started, and I'll keep an eye on their progress, you know, as they move on.
Do we have any idea how extensive?
They said they'll be ready for us, but I'd like to
I
stay
thought
ahead
they
of
were
that.
doing it over the summer and gonna be ready by now, so it might not be a good sign.
They had everything stored in there over the summer
That's
for their
true,
sales, so they
yeah.
had to wait till they got all that sold to clear the space. And that's about it.
Thank you. I'd like to just add as well that Director Snyder was involved in a statewide committee of other directors, and he was I guess nominated or chosen out of this group to help lead other new directors to have a criteria and some type of training set up for these new directors. So Director Snyder is involved with a couple other directors across the state in implementing this new training process for new directors. So he got recognized at our recent state election conference, so we appreciate Matt's service with that. We'll move on to 7 Devil Precinct location for municipal election. Thank you. Director Schneider, if you could please give us a little background on this request.
Certainly. So 7 Devils is located within the Watauga precinct. However, it's a rather small municipality, and in the past, we've always honored the request to allow them to vote there at the town hall, and this is a continuation of that practice.
So that request is a resolution that's put before the board today that we would vote on for the ability of 7 Devils to conduct this, I can read the first paragraph here of the resolution. Resolution of Watauga County Board of Elections concerning permitting Watauga County voters living in the town of 7 Devils to vote at the 7 Devils Town Hall for the town of 7 Devils municipal election. And it goes through 6 different resolutions here. Is there any questions by the board of this resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move on to the approval of precinct judges. I have a spreadsheet here. I guess one spreadsheet and one handwritten. And
I would like to see us go ahead and make the appointments. I know we were counseled at the state board meeting that if we're not in agreement, the result or the effect of that is that the ones that were appointed for the previous 2-year term would continue on. But we've been given lists. It's fairly complete, at least for handling most of the municipal elections, I believe. And then there might be a couple of individuals that would have to be appointed, you know, for the general election before that takes place. with the potential changes in the county board, they didn't make any changes to the processes that we use to appoint precinct judges and the tradition of the chief judge of the party of the governor. And I guess that tradition followed from whatever the party of the governor was, had the majority on the 3-person board, and it wasn't a requirement, but I guess it was sort of an acknowledgement that majority rule, if need be, would vote majority, to assign the chief judge for the precincts as the party of the governor. But we don't have new rules, for this piece of it. They're not 4 precinct judges if there's a 4-person board, it's still 3. No more 2 from the one party. If we take the, I guess you would say the recommendation of Diane Tilson in the set of individuals that she recommended, we would have a chief judge. And then if we coupled that with, and the other judge nomination, and if we coupled that with the list that Karen Lurch submitted, that would fill out the 3rd precinct judge for most, if not all. And the only caveat to that would be dealing with any precinct where the individual is out of precinct. So for Boone 2, the recommendations are Tom Murkowski and Tony Gray, both of which I believe you guys noted are out of precinct, is that correct? But that would mean that we don't have an option. We're supposed to appoint from these lists, as long as the lists were submitted.
There's no alternate.
So there's no alternate. There's a different situation with Boone 2 on the list that Karen Lurch submitted. We have an option of an individual that is in Boone 2 precinct. And I think we are expected to appoint someone within the precinct if we have the opportunity to do so.
Another point to consider, these appointments are for 2 years, and this board potentially will look very different in a few weeks once the governor makes appointments to the board. As they're pending a lawsuit, and they should have some direction August 28th. So we are somewhat of a lame duck board. Technically, we're a 4-member board, so it takes 3 members for action on any items that we take up, since there's not a 4th member that's been appointed to the board currently. So I think it is important for us to have precinct judges in place for the upcoming election. This is one item that we could, go ahead and give our staff the ability to contact these folks, begin training, get ready for the municipal election. But there will be some folks that will need to be filled in. Director Steiner, do you have an idea of folks that we could, any alternates or anybody else that we could fill in these precinct spots that have not been allocated? Have a plan in place for that?
Well, I guess the provision is that they would carry over from the last judge's list, and I have those lists here if y'all want to look at those.
Okay.
I think is the usual procedure for that,
Okay.
if no one here is appointed to the position.
Okay. Is it
One thing that I think we should consider is, I presume that Diane and Karen made contact with these individuals to confirm, their willingness and their ability. And there are a couple of exceptions of a person, like, for example, not being able to do the municipal, but being willing and able from that point forward. So my concern with the holdovers is that some of those individuals might not be available. They had a 2-year term, they probably expected their term to end, and while some of them might still be on one of these 2 lists, I'm confident that Diane confirmed the availability and the willingness, and Karen did the same, with the exceptions of, that are noted.
Right, yeah.
It's based on their notes, it appears that way.
Right.
So any positions that are not filled, we could, the next time we meet, we could hopefully fill those slots, hopefully.
And I think in the interim, because we do have to publish that notice this week of the judges, any that weren't appointed this evening would carry over for that printing, that advertisement we're required to
You
do.
mean, the ones that have the 2-year term that had expired, they would be listed in place of, if we don't have a full set for,
Correct.
okay. I noticed that Barbara
Yeah,
today,
She cannot.
she would not be able to
Right.
do it, so she's the third name for Beach Mountain, and that would have to be dealt with.
And there are other names not on the Republican list from the precincts, but,
And actually, apparently, the Beach Mountain judge recommended or nominated by Diane Tilson, Susan O'Connell. You guys looked her up, she's a registered Republican.
She's which parties?
So,
this week I'm not sure.
oh, okay.
No, I don't know if she, is she a registered Republican right now?
She is.
Okay, so she would have to come off.
Or she could serve in place of Barbara
Barbara.
for the municipal, but
And
we would
there-
have to be cognizant of this as we made the third appointment. Well, no, there would still be 2 Republicans, I guess, Barbara and her, for going forward beyond the municipal.
And there's others, I don't know why they're not on this list, but I know of Beach Mountain that have worked several elections. Republicans and another Democrat in lieu of, along with Calder, who's worked forever. So Calder's
They're
definitely
on
the
the list,
Democrat,
though.
that's fine, right, Matt's list.
Okay.
Right,
So I'm not sure if they just weren't contacted, if,
so if we go with this list, we'll
Karen
have to
didn't
do
contact them.
something for Beach Mountain for their municipal, one way or another.
right,
Another, the board have to meet again to take action.
yes.
Karen Brett is the only other name I have.
Right, and Karen and Gloria did,
I don't have it on my list.
okay.
But this is just,
Yes, Karen has
Judges.
worked several elections too, but she doesn't like to be the chief judge or any kind of person in charge, so.
So out of the list, I guess, to fill in the pieces, could we call these folks that served in the past, see they're willing to serve again?
yeah, I'd be happy to.
Okay.
To fill in the pieces, or
To fill in the
just be
pieces.
the?
So we'll go with these 2 lists, but then we'll, the ones that, the areas that are not filled, we can work off the previous
Right.
2 years.
There are a couple where more than enough names
Right, some have 3 names.
were given.
Like New River,
Do we wanna just, go with the first one and the second one? Let's see.
I would agree with that.
Meet
Go with
camp,
the
Like
order.
North Fork has 3 individuals listed, any of whom could serve as chief judge and judge, so I would say let's go with the first 2.
And some only have 1.
But isn't,
I was referring to Diane's
Okay.
list, but,
Isn't it-
and then go with, the person that Karen recommended. So mostly Karen recommended or got confirmation from one person
right,
per,
Yeah.
so it only works by pairing them with the list that Diane provided and dealing with a couple of exceptions.
Correct.
And I would recommend Nancy Henry for Boone 2 on Karen's list. I'm assuming she's in precinct. And I think it's important that we have an in precinct person if we have the option of having an in precinct person. Is there a way that we can, New River 1, I guess we could appoint the 2 that Diane has nominated and leave open the third one. because Karen's list for New River One.
She's got a question.
I promise it was,
Yeah.
it's a maybe, I think,
Um,
we can move the third one to another spot.
Well, what's listed as Fred Batterist is actually Fred Batters. And I know he served as a Democrat judge before. Is he a registered Democrat? Okay.
So
So
he's
he
off
would
the
be
list.
off that list anyway. There's two possibilities, but didn't get a confirmation, I don't think. Let's see. Oh, and then like Cove Creek from Karen's list, she's got two who both said yes. Matt, do you know if one or the other one has more experience than the other?
Shane Scott would have.
She's worked several.
Yeah, so
positions.
I would recommend Shayna be that judge. Let's see.
Now, like under Laurel Creek, she has two, but she doesn't have a yes by,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
So I assume we would go with the one that said yes, right? Where's Laurel Creek?
It's right under.
So is the goal just to have one from this list then, from the Republican Party
Well,
list?
if we're following the current,
And then each one has at least one, right? She nominated at least one person for each precinct,
yeah, some precincts.
except for Beach Mountain, so
Right.
we.
And she has two in Blowing Rock. Well, Lillian's run one, so.
Yeah, so,
So Beach is the only one that
Well,
would be,
and
Yes.
then there's a couple where she's given multiple names.
Right, Laurel Creek.
Sometimes one of them, there's not a commitment from, so I
No
think we
answer.
would go, like Laurel Creek, yes is written by Maxine Trivett.
So I think we should
then
just-
we would go
I think we
with
take the
that.
top one, yeah.
Well, she's the bottom,
second one.
but there's no, I mean,
There's
unless.
no confirmation. by the-
Unless she was just writing yes, but I don't think she was, because on there's two, she wrote yes by both of them.
By far, there's one confirmed person for the vast majority of these.
Right.
And then there's a couple that would have to be dealt with. I don't know, Matt, if we vote on the slate, should we make exceptions for like the third member from, let's say, New River One, since we don't? Or do we need to
Or
go
can-
precinct by precinct?
I think you better go precinct by precinct.
Just so that there's no confusion?
It'd be easier for the minutes and.
Okay, so,
Yeah,
should
go
I
ahead.
start?
Sure. you want to-
Okay,
yeah,
so for Bald Mountain, I would move that Sandy Hicks be appointed chief judge, Larry Trivett, judge. Let's hope hers are in the same order.
yeah. They are Charlotte Norris.
First,
Yeah, that's page. Oh, I do. Charlotte Norris for the other judge position.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. For Beaver Dam, I would move that Carol Dishman be appointed as chief judge. I'll go with Carolyn Shockley for judge, and Brenda Farthing for the other judge.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. For Blowing Rock, chief judge Johnny Lentz, judge Susan Graham, and judge Gwen Barefoot.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Blue Ridge, Chief Judge Susan Chandler, Judge Sue Reese. The other individuals actually moved out of state, so it would need to be Sue Reese. And then the other judge, Melba Watson.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Boone Warren, Chief Judge Patricia Tish Rakowski, and Judge Sharon Brooks, and Judge Matthew Long.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Trish.
Whose question?
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
For Boone Two, Chief Judge Tom Rakowski, Judge Tony Gray, and Judge Nancy Henry.
So I would, the only opposition I have to that, I would prefer lead of counsel rather than Nancy Henry for bid two.
I know probably Lita has a lot more experience. I thought that we were supposed to, as long as we could, appoint someone in precinct.
Well, did that just, I'm assuming that Mr. and Mrs. Roadhouse are they?
So one of those are out.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah,
He's out.
he's out, but we're also bound, I think, to go with the nominations from the party chairs as long as they're submitted.
So both are nominated here.
Both are nominated. The Nancy Henry is in precinct.
And she a registered Republican?
Yeah, I think there's another Nancy Henry that's in Nash County.
Okay, maybe that's,
I think
confusing,
that's why
it.
the name rang
Got
bell
it.
for me.
Okay.
You guys looked these people up, right?
And she's a
So I guess the question is it, if one of the two is in precinct, does that trump the one that's out of precinct?
I believe it
I
does.
believe it does,
I'm trying to look for the word,
Okay.
I believe
yeah.
Dr. Anderson's correct.
Okay.
You wanna?
We can come back to
hold on
that. We're gonna
Come back to
research
room
that.
two. Okay. Brushy Fork Chief Judge Dewey Tester, Judge, I'll go with the first one, Deborah Arnett. And
Frank.
I got my page
Frank
backwards.
Bullock.
Frank Bullock as the other judge.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Cove Creek Chief Judge Cynthia Wood, Judge Pat Birdsong, and Judge Shannon Scott.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Elk Precinct, Chief Judge Joanne Ryan, Judge Betty D. Triplett, and, we do not have another, we would have to make,
We got,
that one was not confirmed.
If I may, yeah, it was not confirmed, although
Okay.
she's done it for years in the past, and I just don't know that they were able to get in touch with her.
So we can appoint her, and then if she can't serve, we can do a replacement, right?
Correct.
okay.
Charlene Watson.
I'll second.
is the second judge.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Laurel Creek Chief Judge Kathleen Campbell, Judge Bina Tester, and I'll go with the one that looks like it's confirmed, Maxine Trivet.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meat Camp Chief Judge Frida Culler, Judge, I'll go with the first one listed, Ollie Jackson, and Judge Rita, is it Reagan or Rogan?
Reagan.
Reagan.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Boone 3, Chief Judge Cheryl Clausen, Judge Ruth Williams, and Judge Eric Farthing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. New River 1, Chief Judge Audrey Hartley, Judge. I guess I'll
Are they on
go-
the same list? They're both on the Democrat and Republican list. Fred?
He is?
Yeah, I'll go with
Just
Fred
different.
Batters.
Oh,
as
she
the-
spelled it wrong.
Yeah, she spelled it wrong,
Okay.
and they confirmed that you confirmed that he's registered Democrat, right? Okay.
Okay.
And, Judge, well, we'll have to,
You do the top one?
and then if not able, okay, J.E. Green.
We could do a set, if Green doesn't get it, we could do alternate as Paul, since there's two on here.
Right, or do we need to actually approve, can we make a contingency motion now? Or it'd be better if it were formally approved if need be?
Probably separate.
Okay.
These guys have all served. in the
Yeah,
past, I would-
right.
Okay, I'll second the motion, which includes, Green as the,
Okay. All right,
second. All in
oh,
favor?
sorry.
Oh, aye.
Aye. New River 2, Chief Judge Lee Struth, Judge Ronnie Marsh, and Judge Mary Jo Pritchard.
Which is the same. She's gonna have to be asked.
Oh, okay. Let's appoint her, and
Yeah.
then if it doesn't work out, Matt, you'll let us know, or the board know.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. New River 3, Chief Judge Larry Woodrow, Judge Gary Moorman, spelled Moorman, and Ardis Green? I may have to be pronouncing the name right. Okay.
Second. All in favor?
North Fork, Chief Judge Gabrielle Lynch, Judge,
Well, I have Gabrielle call.
it's the wrong last name.
Oh.
In the corrections that Matt and Donna sent us, it's,
Lynch.
did you talk with Diane to confirm that's who she was talking about, or
I did not.
how do we know that it's not Gall?
I think we went back and
Lynch?
looked in the past
Okay,
to see that it was
okay,
that person.
okay. And then, Judge, Doreen Jankowski, it's supposed to be, not Jackson, Jankowski. And then, Melissa Pruitt, hoping her work allows her to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Shawnee Hall, Chief Judge Bill Cook, Judge Carlos Hicks, and Judge Velva Cook. They're not related, are they? Probably not. Be a cross-party one.
Kelly Bain.
Okay.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Stony Brook Chief Judge Paul Perry, Judge David Single, and Judge Eddie Norris.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Watauga Chief Judge Shirley Sigmund, and Judge Nancy Nance, and Judge Suzanne Crum.
Second. All in favor?
Beach Mountain Chief Judge Calder Smoot. I guess we'll go with Susan O'Connell is a judge, and
Do we have a name that previously served for
should
Beach?
should we go ahead and appoint Barbara for the 2-year term, and then you just make a replacement for municipal? Okay, so
Yes.
Barbara Piquet.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Do we need transfer appointed judges? They both had them on their list.
I don't remember doing
I
that.
don't think so.
I don't know. I thought that.
Wonder why they did that. They just had a precinct list? or
I
something?
put it in there, yeah, as who our previous transfer judges have been.
That was just the board
I thought it was
appointed those.
just,
Precinct.
precinct officials that work it. I don't know. I mean, do you want them appointed as this?
For this purpose, I don't know that we have to appoint them at this point,
Okay.
since they are
So
precinct
you'll
judges.
likely use these individuals to actually work it, but,
Yeah,
Yeah.
still be.
Janice always works.
yeah,
So I
Okay.
think
You
you're
okay with it?
okay.
All right,
So
so
we
it's
need to come back to them too.
good to, Matt, do you have an opinion on that based on our discussion?
Boom two, so that's one we're debating,
Nancy
legal
Henry.
counsel,
Yep.
and Nancy Henry. I believe that if you have someone that is in precinct, that they should be the one that is appointed.
Okay.
Especially if you have other folks that are not in precinct.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to appoint Tom Lukowski, Tony Gray as a judge, and then Nancy Henry
Second.
As the other judge.
as the other judge.
Okay, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Tom. Okay, so that concludes precinct judges for the next 2 years.